Begin the meeting at 5:31 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Mike Volpone?
David Roll.
Celine Muldowney.
Mark Sands.
Okay. Reading the previous minutes. I forgot to print out, left it on the printer at the office.
I have a copy. I had a copy.
I'll see if I can find it.
Maybe I need to look at it.
Stefano, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, wow.
There we go.
Phone's not going to 38%. All right. Any questions, comments on the
So I'm kind of confused a little bit about the drafts, the attachments, because it's kind of like the same thing was attached a number of times.
Yep.
And I know that this is, I mean, typically we've never done attachments. I thought we were attaching things that we kind of all approved. I mean, it can get kind of cumbersome if we're attaching stuff that.
It's supposed to be final documents, or we should be doing final documents.
I'm just asking the question of what other people.
Any other comments?
My recommendation, I mean, I have no problem with anything here other than the attachments.
One of the reasons people add attachments when, is my understanding with meetings like this, you add the attachments if you're using them as a point of reference, so that people understand what we're talking about.
But even if they're working documents,
I will clarify that.
I mean, I don't mind, but if we do every draft of every document that we work on, it can just be cumbersome. So I think, I don't,
Well,
you know, like if we approve a final document of a draft that we.
Is there a copy of the minutes? I got the wrong one. Thank you.
Because we have a bunch of, now all of a sudden I'm looking at 3 different documents and I can't even print out half of them. We've got the policy and procedure for the field house, the policy and procedure for the fields, and then what was the other one that you drafted last week at the, hi there.
Hi.
That's okay, we just started here, that's fine.
Do you need to introduce yourself to the camera?
Yeah, Mariah Dixon.
Thank you. We have to 6:50,
so it's the policy for fee structure. Which was embedded in big policy, but if we could just separate that from, we can get something out to legal as opposed to worrying about all the numbers that can then get approved. And then we can work on the numbers versus the policy.
Yeah, well, let's not confuse that with the minutes.
Right.
As long as it's you know, working documents, it's not something to be submitted for evidence into the record. Because, I mean,
Yeah, draft that?
as it's mentioned here, discuss potential methods of charging for the use of the fields. We voted on June 4th, we voted 3-1
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So, what the focus now on the fee structure is putting together a document for the Board of Selectmen and deciding on what the fees will be, because we've
Yeah.
already voted to change the fee to present to the Board of Directors, the Board of Selectmen. All right. Other than that, anybody else any questions to add to it?
So do you want me just to add that these are draft documents?
Yes, please.
Okay.
What are you attaching? You just,
They're
the
not
minutes are just gonna.
These will be, the documents will be filed with the town clerk or whoever's holding them, but they're not gonna go up online.
Also on the fee schedule, it says discuss potential methods of charging for the use of fields. I would like to have that removed only because we already have voted on it. We shouldn't have been, my fault, we should not have been discussing potential methods because we already approved it on June 4th.
Okay. There are two models in there that use a per hour. That was the purpose of the document, is looking at two different, looking at all the models around, and specifically the two that said, if we charge at this rate, local versus non-local, and here's another model of it. It gave an outline of all the towns and what they do as a comparison.
Okay.
But are those accurate? Do they coincide with your numbers?
No, they were none of them, those were examples as options to see, that's all it was.
Because-
Those are not numbers that were recommended by the committee,
Okay.
the subcommittee.
Okay. 'Cause there was, we had done a lot of research to find out per hour what other
Okay.
communities were charging. Okay.
All right, so based on the recommendations that Mark is gonna do I hear any further discussion? All those in favor? All those,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, to the changes to this?
including the change, yes. All those in favor?
Yes.
All right, who made the motion?
I did,
May I second it?
yes.
Sorry,
Okay.
it's not easy doing
I just want to make sure I hear it. Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Any correspondence or bills and claims?
I just picked up a few bills, I haven't processed them yet, but it's, John Filippo, which is the sprinkler system, Ginello, which is the trash, Rally
Ready, Mike?
Ready.
Mix, which I need to double, I'm pretty sure we paid this in the last time, but I don't have those with me.
What are the two equal to?
The two little ones or the?
Yeah, the two little ones.
Two little ones are just over $2 million for Ginello and J. Filippo. Rally Ready Mix, I'm almost 100% positive it was on my last feed.
Okay.
For Mello, is that for 1 month?
Yes,
$200 now?
130.
Okay.
Do we need to sign up on that, or you all set?
No, I can sign it, just letting you know that these bills exist.
The other one is, everybody, forwarded everybody the stuff about bubble sports, we should talk about it.
Yes, dog one, October. I know campuses that use that stuff, and it's stressful leaving the whole bit and have a great time with it. Fee schedule. So as we've stated, we are presenting to the Board of Selectmen a change in the flat fee per person to the per hour. The amounts or structure is the only thing that's in question right now. The recommendation, correct me if I'm wrong, since the three of us sat on that committee when we had the members at the time, was 7 and 20, 7 and 15, 10 and 15, some combination thereof.
So I just haven't had a chance to look at it, but what I wanted to do is look at, what I'm more concerned is the timing for the users, to be able to give them time to figure out their schedules, but also give us time that we're not releasing, at the 11th hour have all
Yeah.
these fields. So I'm trying to find a balance, and I wanted to go and look at other towns.
Do you want to table that discussion though until the next meeting so you get a chance to look
Well, I
at it?
think that's part of the conversation is,
Okay.
to make sure it's adequately structured, because in looking back at the dates we threw out on the policy
Yeah.
procedure, it doesn't really work with their.
Yeah, no, that's where
So,
Tim was
I
talking
wanna
about
be
last time, to make
cognizant
sure.
of that, and I just haven't had a chance. If somebody else also has time to look at some of the other
Yeah,
towns.
I made phone calls today to Pingree, Endicott College,
And governors.
and Governors, to ask them, because they're local fields, they have soccer fields and stuff like that. And they do rent them out, and, to give you an idea,
Those are all turf though, right?
no, Governor, which is in our town, they said they have 2 soccer fields. They said soccer fields, they said they're grass, they're online, they're not the greatest fields in the world. They charge $160 per hour, non-lined. They do $195 per hour, one of their regular grass fields, and, which is something that you know, I don't think we could ever afford, but $230 per hour for artificial field turf. And Pingree called back and they were in that same ballpark, a little bit less. And Endicott just has field turf. And they were, again, I think they were like over 100 per hour. So, I think that obviously we're not going there, but I also don't think we're wrong to go in this direction as far as trying to figure out what is good for the Triton group to keep them at their cost right now, and not make things crazy, but keep things in line with other fields in the area. I mean, obviously I don't wanna go and say, yeah, let's charge $75 an hour or $50 or whatever. I think we should.
To towns, what about like Newburyport, Cashman Park? Do they rent out?
You probably won't know that.
Newburyport Cashman Park, it's based off of a donation,
But that's changed, they're in the process of
yeah, but they're in the process of changing all
changing
that.
all that now, because they've been running into, everything I believe was done kind of on a donation, and what I've been reading more recently is that they're trying to rate.
I tried to use Cashman Park for a tournament, and it was gonna cost me a couple $100 for a weekend. And then the high school field was gonna cost me close to $1,000. So, just give you an idea of what that
Yeah.
was.
Again, as they mentioned, I don't necessarily go down this rabbit hole, and I can fill you in later more my perspective of it. You're moving away from the volunteers some people weren't paying for it. Part of the problem that they're running into is a club baseball team is using up more hours because they can pay more than the local team. There's an article in the paper back
This
in
is
April.
Cashman Park.
Not for Cashman, for the
Just
baseball field,
their
Pioneer Field.
fields in general.
Okay.
So they're trying to figure out, there's also a liability issue between a donation versus a payment and the higher threshold of responsibility by a community if they charge a rent versus they donate it. The other thing, again, it's hard to look at, compare apples to oranges. How many fields they have, how many teams they have
Right,
versus we have four and a half fields, 5 fields. We have one team here versus this. So I can be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Right, I was
What is
just
out there.
curious what
Yeah.
public schools would be versus private schools.
Well, it's private schools versus a community.
Community, yeah, so
Because-
you're talking about, I mean, we did the example of Beverly, and Beverly's sort of, Celine Down used to
I
have those
don't
numbers.
have, they're at home.
Yeah, I think they were $50 an hour for, private groups come in. Beverly residents were free, and he had said that I think it's similar to what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
They own the fields, any kind of Beverly sport that involves only Beverly kids was free, no charge. And then they would tier, so they have first rights, and then everyone else goes after that.
And so what you're asking is for someone who would have time to go and find out different costs?
We've already done
Yeah.
that, some community already did that.
Yeah,
Kind of like, scheduling procedures.
Scheduling procedures, okay.
So in response to your question about not needing scheduling software, I
Yep,
think we do need that.
okay,
Because the thought is people can sign up either for the field house or for field 2 or for field, and, that respect.
and you were talking a little more in depth with something so that there were links for filling out, a query and
Yeah.
applications and whatnot, okay.
Though I think at the very least, right now, Lindsay would at least like to put our current calendar, which I think we should just start with the spring at this point. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a calendar. So, but to back up for a second, we've done the work. Part of the document given out last week identifies the towns and the models that they use. Not necessarily the numbers they use, but the model, whether it's,
The one that you created,
model 2 says Hamilton, and Wenham does it, Beverly and Ipswich all uses a tiered system based on percentage of players. Model 4 was Newburyport. Number 5 was West Newbury. Pawtucket uses just a flat fee. So it gives us an idea of what they use, but more importantly, 2 and 3 give an example of if we were to charge this amount per for the recreational versus this, and this amount for this, here's how much money we can generate based on X number of hours and limiting them to X number of hours. Giving 309, that was the purpose of that.
So where do we wanna go?
So I'd like to come up with a concrete kind of scheduling scenario that
Right,
works
just-
for everybody.
You mean from a timing, nothing to do with cost, it's just, here's the dates and here's
And
the
the
dates.
rules and regulations
Yeah.
as far as if it rains, you know, what do other
Yeah.
people, and I think that's a big chunk of it, you know, and how that is all managed, and it's doable. I mean,
Right now,
Yeah, I think we touched on that before, and I talked to other communities about that too, and it's like, so what if it rains, and they're like, you know, we
so I
don't,
wanna,
we don't
I
get that
kinda
much.
wanna read
Yeah.
what other towns
Okay.
have done, and
Okay.
kinda really get it,
Okay.
you know, a
what do you think
concrete.
you're gonna need in regards to time, or anybody's gonna need in regards to
Well, it's
time?
not gonna happen by next week, cause
Well-
we have another meeting next week.
We haven't finalized that yet, I gotta figure out because my schedule's kind of gone crazy.
I mean, I tried poking around a little bit today, but I just ran out of time, so.
Let's table into the next meeting regarding to, let's see if we can plan an idea regarding the timing, and I certainly, that one, I don't wanna jump back there, but Jim, I know you had said your situation regarding the timing was scheduling, we wanna make sure we get you guys invested, all you guys regarding to when you think your time works, so when you'd have an idea, and then when it's kind of the drop dead before we go with final roster, so we can plan accordingly. So let's get an idea and see, and then we can bring it up to the next meeting and say, here's our proposal, does this work, and if it doesn't, if we need to tweak dates and
Because
do things, then we can do it.
in the big picture, if we have to modify what we did last summer, those days, you know, if we didn't realize, what, you know,
Mm-hmm.
then that's part of it as well. We might
Yeah.
have to modify that schedule.
Okay, so we'll plan
I
that.
think what I'm hearing from you, is that actually there's gonna be sets of dates.
Yes.
Is there's the initial, for lack of better terms, application, an intent to apply,
Mhm.
because they're not gonna have their rosters.
Yeah.
But they
They
can still
reserve,
put
reserve
down,
the fields at that point, yeah.
well, they can reserve with a certain down payment, and then
Yeah,
later on, at another date, they can give the schedule.
They'll have the final amount, we'll have the final count, and then we'll know how many hours they need. They'll let us know how many feet. So if they reserved, and I'm just using, because I'm looking at it, if GPS reserved for fall, they reserved 80 total hours for a week, and they come back and realize, no, I only need 75, okay, then we can either cut them back. If they reserved 80, they come back and say, based on science, I only need this, then we bill accordingly.
Do you remember the date that he said that the games are scheduled? Because that doesn't come from the team.
Right.
That comes from,
Right,
So
and that's something that our, you know, the users can send us. The thing is, what we're trying to create, we're not the only town that's done that. And
Right.
so, and they all have that same scheduling kind of umbrella over them. So that's kind of why I'm just trying to educate
Yeah.
myself, like how they come to that
right,
compromise and from there. And then make sure it's palatable to the users, doable.
if you wanna split up some areas, if you have some areas in mind, you could take a few, I could take a few,
Right.
and then, yeah.
That would be great.
The field house policy, we have a certificate of occupancy yet? Are you aware of one?
What's that?
What's that?
Certificate of occupancy?
Ah. I heard yes. Oh, well, Sam told me that, this is probably 2 weeks ago, that everything should be good. He was gonna check it the next day, and that's all I heard. And then I mentioned something to Tracy, I think last week, and she said we should probably plan on having, before we open it, have like a little ceremony of some sort. So, from what I understand, it's ready to go, but the question is whether we do something that, you know, say after all this hard work, we open it up. So, that's from Tracy, and I haven't heard from Sam, yes, but from what he said, that everything was good, and he was just gonna follow up that next day.
And then, was there an issue with the sewer, with the septic line or something?
I think everything's good.
Okay.
Question?
He didn't, if there was, I think that he would have brought it up. I think that was, the question with the septic might have come from, editorial. I don't know. Does anyone, Mark, do you have any further information on that?
No, I don't.
What is the opinion of what's the opinion of the committee? Do we wanna try and do this ceremony type thing? And again, we can only recommend it because the town, the board of selectmen may just say, no, we don't wanna do that, or yeah, we're gonna take it over type thing, which is fine.
That's fine.
Do you think we should even, one, do you wanna do it, or two, do you wanna do it this year, or do you wanna wait for the spring? Do you wanna do it before the end of the season?
I think
mean,
it'd be great, I think for the taxpayers' reason, I think it'd be great to have it open. I mean,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and if this board of selectmen, I wanna
Especially
say,
especially if we're gonna talk about the basketball court.
yeah,
And I can actually say, because we've all, did everybody read the email you sent around? There was a, article in the newspaper
Where
2
was
weeks
that?
ago, the Daily News.
Yeah.
From review, David?
yeah, I think I sent out a thing to everybody, but basically, it was an editorial, a lot of the facts were not correct. I was told not to worry about it. So, don't respond, everything's fine.
It was Thursday, September 13th was the paper. Money spent, but project's not finished. The gentleman's name was Mike Bowling from Newbury. And from last we heard, you said Tracy was gonna take care of it. So, bringing something, let's discuss, or you want to just touch base with Tracy or with the board to find out what they'd like to do and.
Yep.
I mean, we'll certainly be there, but I presume they're gonna wanna,
I can go to
Almost
Tracy
like a
or I
ribbon
can,
cutting
Yeah,
ceremony.
yeah, I mean, I think the selectmen should do, and we can hang out back, let them do what they're,
yeah, cause they're gonna want to, yeah, let's hold them.
Mike, could you forward that to me?
it's a lot of work. And we came in right at the
Go
end.
with the picture. Give me a second so I can find it.
But going back to,
But we do have Columbus Day coming up. It could be a Columbus Day celebration. Are there tournaments going on there that weekend?
I don't know if there's any games stepping over, any games on the weekend of Columbus Day?
No.
It's usually quiet.
The, opening the field house though now, which we should do, falls under the old,
Yeah.
fee schedule.
Yep.
So we need to figure out a way that that's maintained,
I know what you're trying to say. I think that's well, number one, if the idea is dealing with the field house and on the agenda is the field house policy, if we can get that in place, we can get to the selectmen, and that becomes a moot point.
Yep.
The fee schedule, you know, somebody comes knocking on the door, we can address that, but I don't see people clamoring right now for the next, if we can get it out in a month, so you're talking the end of October.
We're perplexed.
Because there is no fee schedule for the field house, there never was one.
Yeah.
And-
right,
Yeah.
do we,
So,
were these like general numbers, or were these?
when you say numbers, those italicized were just, and that's for the bathrooms, they're already in place, so they're, doesn't matter. That would be for next spring.
Do we know who's opening, closing, locking, all that stuff too?
I don't think we've come up with something in there.
That's the thing, that's the only thing I'm worried about opening this thing is, we've gotta figure out what the resources are gonna come from to do that, and
Yeah.
is that gonna get tagged to us as well?
Well, and maybe ask, simple as talking to DPW and having them drive by on the way to wherever they're gonna go, and I don't think they'll charge us too much money to pop the door open.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But if you pop the door open and they're using the bathroom,
Yeah.
which is great, that
Yeah.
automatically starts the financial ball rolling, so to speak, for having a septic pump, having.
Yeah, yeah.
cleaning.
But I don't think it's gonna be,
The cleaning will start, I think it's like $30 a month. Septic, I wouldn't worry about pumping it the
Who
first
would do the
year.
cleaning for
The
$30?
town would contract out
Yeah.
to an existing, with one of their current, companies.
Is that in place?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure, I hadn't
We
heard.
pay security,
I'm
which is
glad it
another
is.
$30 a month, something like that. We get final details.
And what is
But-
security?
Security is an alarm system, so if there's a fire,
And that's
emergency-
already in there, is
And,
that already?
and I don't believe the doors are alarmed at this point, but, protocol, the fire inspector wanted a smoke detector in there, I think it needs to be hardwired. And then if it's being hardwired, let's make it right to the fire department, that kind of stuff. But basically $30 for security. So it's a trivial amount of money to open it up for the next, at most, 5 weeks. Because we'd be probably closing it down in mid-November.
Right. But when would it be realistic for all of that to be up and running? To have
We-
someone come in and hardwire?
That's done.
That's
done.
Everything's
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Everything's done.
It's just
Yeah.
the
We
security
just said,
piece we have to do,
turn it
and then
on.
Yeah.
setting the pieces,
Yeah.
Okay.
all those in place.
Okay.
And again, the septic, some people say don't even pump it for the first 2 years because it's
Yeah,
a
it's
large
good
enough
build up.
reserve.
Yep.
So, and the only thing we'd have to worry about in the winter is if it does get used, probably not, is keeping the,
Temperature at 40 degrees or whatever.
that and, what am I thinking, the
Traps.
traps filled with water, so they'll dry out.
Well, I think we don't need to pump it more than, I know we don't need to pump it the first week.
Yeah.
More
No, no,
than
no, no.
once a year, I mean,
Yeah.
once a year at least.
Do we wanna look at, well, worst case, we have someone come out mid-year to find out how bad it is, and let's say in
What did they?
May of
It's like,
next
it's
year.
like $300 or something, I would assume, for pumping. I don't think it's, unless it's
We,
like.
I forgot what we budgeted, we have money in place.
Yeah.
We have budgeted that kind of resources to open it, and it's budgeted for this year. So
Well,
there's
let's say
money.
Do it in June, do it May or June, and let's get an idea of where it stands, if they come back and say, yeah, guys, this was like a quarter full, I don't know what you're worried about. Or they're like, you're lucky, you probably should've had this done a while ago.
Yep.
I mean, we won't, this first time, we won't know because we're not sure what we're gonna get. And it's not gonna be used in the winter time, so,
I mean, you could ask one of the septic people anyway, they'll let you know.
if we don't know, because it's
Yeah.
a brand new building, we don't know what the
Yep.
usage rate's gonna be in the building yet, so part of that's gonna be a process to be done,
And
so.
who did the subject there? Was it Pearson?
I have no idea, I've seen it.
I don't know.
I'm just thinking like one of
We-
us, if one of us takes that responsibility to call that person and ask that question.
That was a prior regime's deal. I
Okay, so
believe.
find out who did the septic and then.
Yeah,
follow
I
up
think
with
you
that.
could, yeah.
Okay.
I assume, I don't know. It might have been done by manager, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
No.
I can call.
You don't even know the size of it, do we?
We
Yes,
don't know
we
anything.
could get a little more information on it and find out
Okay.
what they think.
With all those details.
Okay.
The first step before we do that, my assumption would be that Board of Selectmen would like to know what the policies are.
Yep.
So that becomes, I think, more of a priority, and that's what this document is about. You made some corrections to it.
Yeah.
Does everybody have a
I
copy?
don't
or-
have a copy. I thought I could get online here, but do you have info to get online? No. Yeah.
I don't have it on right now either, so if I need it.
Well, so I
Or-
heard we put page
But can I make
Oh.
a suggestion? So
Yes.
we do know that Jim came, and there's a school meeting tonight that, can we just,
What part of the meeting were you trying to get to?
Anything to do with the field that you need to know or need to discuss?
The fee schedule portion is kind of being tabled until we get an idea regarding the piece that we talked about, the field house policy, and then we have the basketball court. Lighting on the fields is,
Question?
the last piece that I had here, the scheduling software was the other one. So we can, if we wanted to jump into new business,
Oh, can I just bring, parking on the grass?
well,
Okay, I didn't know
wait a
so
second.
that
he's gonna
involved,
take minutes on all
We're-
this.
if that involved them.
We're
Okay.
starting to bounce around a lot what's not on the schedule, on the agenda.
The only thing I haven't got on the agenda that I just put on is parking.
Okay.
The other things are on the agenda.
Was that on the agenda that was posted?
The parking is the only thing that's not on the
Okay.
posted.
Then we have to hold that until the next meeting. I know we've asked we had that, we asked to put it on, it didn't make it on.
I have lighting on the field, if parking was added, I didn't see it, I apologize.
Can you add parking and signage on the next?
Yep. Parking and signage. I didn't know if bringing it up, because,
Yeah, not right,
yeah, I didn't know if,
because I thought the main purpose of this meeting was to focus on one or two things, just to
Yeah.
get them off the plate. But we did have somebody who had a question about something, and that was, Jim.
Anybody else have any questions at this point? It's in the audience that would like to raise it, because we're going through, the next thing we're gonna be discussing,
Can I just make one request?
Yeah.
So when you all have my email address, can you please send me your schedules? Like of when you start signups, and when you field teams, and just roughly.
so your initial, then your deadline type of thing, so when we know, we can adjust for it, right?
Yeah, just so I can start writing. Thank
We
you.
wanna make sure it works for everybody, we know your schedule's a little different, we'll try to be as accommodating as we can, because if you each hit us for 3 different times and they're not even close, then it's like, we're all gonna have to sit and talk and figure out what works for all 3 of you, as close as we can.
Okay. So, Jim, did you have anything?
I did talk with our board of directors about scheduling and releasing hours and things. And what they typically do is they add in, they build in extra hours, because things change so much. And it would be releasing it, they thought more on a week-to-week basis. I did press them on being able to release it 6 weeks in advance, and that's just pretty much impossible. They will not commit to that. I can ask them more, but they're still gonna say,
You know, your question is, I mean, you took, in your spring seasons, you're taking 80, last 2 times, you're taking 82 and 86 hours, per week, and that's, you're entitled to it, because that's how we can work it out. But if you feel like you're not gonna need that many, then that's just your call, how you wanna handle it.
right,
If you wanna book it, and you're gonna pay for it,
right,
they're yours.
that's our problem, right?
It's how you wanna handle it. If you wanna offer it to someone else to pay for it, you wanna kind of sublet it at that point, that as long as the hours are paid for, as long as it's done accordingly. If you're doing it with the youth program, that's fine. If you're doing it with an outside group, and I'm just using Stefano with GPS here, because he's here, then we need to address it. Because I can't have you all of a sudden going, yeah, I get 86 hours, and I'm gonna give 40 of them to GPS at that rate, that won't fly. If you tell me 1 or 2, yeah, I probably won't care, but that's my opinion. The rest of the committee will certainly make theirs.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I brought that up, and I'm asking and just trying to communicate back.
Just wanna know, if you have a situation where you think that's gonna come back, worst case, talk to them, let us know if you're gonna make a change in the schedule so we can make sure we adjust here. And then if we have to, if you're gonna pitch it to Stefano saying he all of a sudden needs it, or another outside organization, all we'll do is say, that's great, you can take it, you pay him this and us the balance of whatever the difference is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have had things where games were pushed off because of makeup games, we had practices, we shared fields. That's just something we handle on the fly, so.
That's understandable, that's why you guys have worked so well together for so many years, and we appreciate that.
Just to be, I don't wanna go down this rabbit hole, because again, I think we should be working on policy.
The policy and then anything else we have listed is where we're going.
Okay. But we need to be
Thank you.
careful,
All right,
because our
thanks.
policy right now is no subletting. That's in our.
All right, well, That's why I said, if they're gonna change it, they're not subletting, they're gonna wanna pay them back and then pay us the difference, so they're
But
not
that's
really
different.
subletting.
That's a different
in this
issue.
policy.
We need to worry about this policy for
Yes.
what's in our current food structure right now. I'm sorry, I didn't.
I don't care, that's what, you're not hurting my feelings, we gotta make sure we're staying focused on what we got here. I keep looking over and I apologize, but I still have, I mean, we're not gonna get, if we don't get to everything, we don't get to everything. Are you still going through things, or, I'm just saying,
I'm missing half the documents, I couldn't punch it out.
all right, then we're gonna have to,
So,
I didn't have that when I got here.
all right, so we're gonna have to figure out on the next meeting, how quick we can get this.
Did everybody at least look at the changes that were made by Mariah?
I didn't see the list, I didn't get,
It came through Google Docs.
Yeah, I didn't have access to it, so,
I'll share it with you on your email.
yeah, but for some reason I always have problems opening it.
And I thought I could get in on here.
But, all right, so we're gonna have to push this a little bit, not much, but we're gonna have to push this to the next meeting and try to figure out how to get that done. I'll see if I can get my wife to open it, 'cause
Either that or we just make copies.
oh, yeah, we can do that and bring it in for the next meeting, whatever we want to do, yeah. I made a very rough draft, I'm shifting to the next thing on the list. I made a rough draft of the proposal for the basketball court based off of the information that Celine had. I'm trying to keep it within one page and relatively brief, hoping that would pitch it. I don't expect you guys to say, yes, this is good, yes, it's not, we're gonna have edits. It's not something we need to have done today, but I wanna make sure that everybody had a chance to look at it. If you have comments, please bring them to the next meeting.
So we're not discussing basketball right now?
If you want to and we think you're ready to, that's fine. I sent it on only a few hours ago, so it wasn't like, the figures were the same, what were on Celine's document that she gave me. I referenced the 9 to 10.
Do you feel like these numbers are accurate?
These are the ones you gave me.
I talked to,
Okay.
I talked to,
I just
one of
pulled together that list.
the professional installers today. And so the impetus of sort of the direction everything has gone was I talked to Tracy. Tracy said, come up with a total, like have an idea of what the total is. If some group wants to donate money to us, whether we have it in hand or promised, those things will sort of stand on the side. So let's say the court, and I'll tell you different totals, but let's say the court's gonna be $70,000, and that's what we go in front of the town with, and we try and get. And they approve it, and then we start doing it, and it only costs us $50,000 because we get 10 here, and someone donates, whatever. That's what she said, that's the route we should take. I called this professional installer, and I said, so, give me an idea. He said, what you can do, and I'll make this real brief. Asphalt, regular concrete, which I guess is what they use, and then now what they have is like these little squares that have holes in them, so you can play all the time.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so the 6 court or 6 hoop that we sort of imagined, he said that, and he was going on and on and on, but it would be around, he said if it was a group, if you wanted for your backyard, maybe around $100,000, but he said when it, that's for the premium, because he said that the actual hoops range in prices from $1,000 up to $15,000 for actual hoop.
Well,
So he said,
we budgeted $1,500 each, so.
yeah. So, but I'm just giving you an idea of what he said cost could be. He said that because of municipalities with the prevailing wage, you should, if you wanted to go with that high-end thing, he said you gotta figure around $150,000, because he said the price will go up because of what towns prevailing. Yeah, so,
Didn't West Newbury do this for like 60 grand, you heard? And we kind of balked at that.
yeah, I think it was like 70 grand we thought was, and so this is what, he said that, this is the premium, so you can cut back.
Yeah.
And again, West Newbury doesn't have so I'm just giving you an idea that, we're probably, and I don't wanna say this, but I think that we should maybe think on the higher side, so we don't turn and end up like with, the field house, where we end up taking that directly out of our budget to finish something. So,
Well, we're looking at
And
some
again-
of the excavation being done by the town, hopefully that would cut,
Yeah,
save costs there.
and again, this is to have an independent group do it from soup to nuts.
Yeah.
So you probably are looking, you could probably do low end, again, asphalt, and you have been going on, so you could have, a fence around it, we'll do the fence, we'll do this, we'll do a retaining wall, because I explained to him about the slope, so costs go up. So just, if you want, for the next meeting, I can have them come down and look and give us 3 bids, and or 3 ideas of what it would cost for a municipality, what he thinks, and go that route, and then if we decide that we just wanna do if we could try to get the town to do it, and, or on donations or whatever, we could go that way, but,
Well, it's a Word doc, so you got access to it, and just bring it back what you got.
alright,
Are we willing to go with someone like Johnson Paving and have Johnson give us an idea
Absolutely.
of what Johnson would
Yep.
cost?
absolutely.
And then if they were willing to donate some of that, it would go before the board and then,
Yeah,
They can hang their sign on the fence.
as long as the board is selected.
As long as, as long as it's approved, and like, okay, you're gonna cut us a deal, and all it's gonna cost us is to hang a sign, then,
Right,
I mean, that's the pitch, and go back, it's, that, to me,
so
makes
it's
sense,
okay to
but.
reach out to Johnson.
but, you know, basically what she said was that if people, like, we had a certain amount of money that was set aside by Triton Basketball.
Right.
$600 we have.
That if that is, there's a process that goes to that, but that money was sort of stay on the side, and we would ask for the full amount, and then the town would be thrilled at saying, okay, well, we appropriated $70,000 to do this basketball court, but guess what? It only cost us $50,000 because we had donations, or, you know, $30,000 or whatever.
So error on the side of caution.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if that
but
makes
we've
sense.
also seen
I'd
in
say-
previous meetings over the years, when they were talking about the police station, the fire department and all that, they were looking and saying, they're trying to hear, and people were just like, I'm not spending, I'm not authorizing, I'm not approving that, and they kept knocking it down and down and down to the point, so we've gotta be
Accurate.
cautious, but we've gotta be pretty close to where we need to be. And then the fact that we have the 9,600 approximately from the Triton Youth Basketball and how we handle the legalities and the gift and all that, how it gets done. It's nice to have as a buffer, because you had said in your original thing, the 10% based off the number of like $4,600. Okay, well, we got 9,600 kind of sitting as a buffer if we need it as well, we can build it in accordingly, so. Come back in next meeting, let's see if we can figure out, that'd be great, David.
Alright.
Well, just real quick, where did we get I know where we got the fencing numbers, and I know where we got the basketball numbers. So the asphalt and the excavation, where did those two numbers come from?
I don't know about
I
the
thought that was
asphalt, but the
That's all I
excavation,
called Johnson and.
That was from Johnson?
yeah, I talked to someone about excavate.
Because it's 100 by 60 is what we figured out for the layout.
And there's a slope that goes from,
Yep. And you had to build that piece in.
Yep.
Is there a retaining wall? Do
And
we
that
need a
cost-
retaining wall?
well,
Yeah, well, you could slope it down, but
Yeah.
then again,
Yeah.
it'd have to be graded.
there's
So,
two different thoughts.
yes or no?
You could put a retaining wall in, the cost goes up,
Yeah.
or you can slope it down, the cost goes down. Then
But
the question,
sloping down, does that affect the
the
underlying?
roading, that's, yeah, I guess that's the question, whether we still have access for the town to go out back. And I think when we did our,
The slope is, I mean, when we walked it, we looked at where the line was.
Yep.
Versus where, how far we.
we had plenty of, yeah,
We had plenty of room.
Yep.
All right, let us know what you have on that.
okay.
I mean, regarding the other 4 sections, regarding the request, the introduction, the request, the benefits, all that, please, I mean, I wanted to give us something to work off of. It is by no means a literary piece by any means, so.
So, I'm sorry, that would be 100-foot at least retaining wall.
100 foot by 60, I don't know what you, if that's what you're talking about, yes.
Well, it would be the long way.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's correct.
And so the option is doing a retaining
Which would be
wall.
like 4 feet high.
I don't know what the slope is. It would be less than 4 feet. I think we guesstimated about 3 feet. But I could figure that out.
The board meeting does start next.
Okay, and I get,
Just-
I could transit it out and figure out what the height is.
Get us an idea.
So I think
Go
that,
from there.
that's why I was concerned about these numbers, because I think that they were,
Yeah, I don't
I
want,
mean-
I don't wanna go low. I don't wanna end up.
No, because then we all suddenly want to go to the money.
Yeah, and I also don't wanna be, say, okay, for the town, we want $150,000, we wanna build a Taj Mahal basketball court out there. If we had, a club league that was gonna pay us lots of money, bring it on, but we don't, so.
You know, start from scratch.
But I think that if you build it, they will come and play basketball.
what's the timeline on this, to get this in front of the Capitol? It has to go in front of the Capitol planning?
Yeah.
when do they meet?
Beginning of November.
We had,
Yeah. So I'll see if I can come up with some solid
so I
numbers.
do think we need to meet in at least once or twice in October.
Yes.
We'll discuss that in a second.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add to this?
Not at this time.
Okay. Well, like I said, when we figure the next meeting, we'll go with that. New business, scheduling software.
We just talked about that.
Did I miss that?
Yep.
I apologize.
Yeah, it's part of the whole fee schedule.
Okay.
It's kind of all in,
They're gonna work
It's a
on
wraparound conversation, because everything is dependent on the other component. So we can make all these policies here, but it doesn't fit with their scheduling, which doesn't work with the scheduling software. It's, we have to have like 5 conversations going on concurrently to make it all fit together.
Chicken and the egg. Okay. Lighting on the fields is the last thing on the new business. Or
But I don't have that on the agenda.
in print,
Did you check the back of the agenda?
it was 2 pages.
I just want what was posted on the town website, that's why I took this off of. Because I know we asked about that.
Yeah.
Oh. Do you see anything in the new business?
Scheduling software and then motion to close.
Upgraded this, updated this.
so is there not a disclaimer on there that we can, I mean, there's some,
The matters listed above are those reasonably anticipated by the chair to be discussed in the meeting. The agenda will be updated or revised after initial posting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and all other items not listed may be brought up for discussions to the extent permitted by law. That's from the town's website.
right, so we can't bring it up as this came up type thing?
Is it pressing, is it urgent, is it time?
We've got
Is it
half an hour, I
time-sensitive?
mean, if it's anything crazy, but we wanted to
I-
find
I
out why.
I think that, yeah, if you talk about I mean, I could bring up parking, and I think that that's somewhat pressing, because I think we've banged that out,
Okay.
but maybe we shouldn't. And maybe you guys don't have a different idea.
Parking on the septic field is pressing.
Yes,
Yes,
and
'cause that's
it's been, there's a food truck there, and then they're parking on that grass.
So is there any way we could get some no parking signage from the town?
We can ask DPW to put them up.
Yep.
We can ask the, I mean, there's no, the septic, there was a ticket given out last Memorial Day for somebody parking on the literal top of the septic. There is no, I saw where the grass was, I don't think they could justify giving somebody a ticket for
No,
parking
there's
on the
no
grass.
signs.
There's no sign.
Yeah, nothing,
It's
yeah, no,
reasonable.
and I don't think they know any better, it's not like, but I think that if we
No.
just, you know,
I think if you just put up a simple no parking sign from
No
telling
parking on
you where,
they,
No
Grab,
they-
parking.
grab the wooden stakes and
Yeah.
just,
easily,
Amen.
just
Yeah.
for now,
yeah, the game was there,
yeah.
and so it's not like people know, oh, I probably shouldn't park here, they just, so I think that we should probably, you know, either talk to the town about putting something across or whatever.
No parking on grass.
Does that include the backside as well? So you have, when you pass the field house,
Yeah.
Mhm.
there's that area along right
And then you're
here,
talking the backside of
and
it.
then you turn, what about back there?
Should not park on the grass.
Yeah, I think they should.
People
be-
Correct.
back there, the span of the roadway is narrower than what is up before the septic. And people traditionally park up there. There had been, for a period of time, old telephone poles put out there so people would be less likely to drive onto the fields. And that was sort of where people would go for the big events. So they're not at the drive.
Do we know why the
roadway.
telephone poles were removed?
I don't remember. Jason, Stefano, do you guys have any recollection of what's back, at the back end of the fields, what would it be, 2 and 4? Are there poles there anymore? I
No,
don't remember.
no.
So at one point we wanted to put berms in to prevent people who come in, it'd be easy to mow.
There is that path back there, I don't know, with the Boy Scouts or something, there's a path, there's a sign way
Not
back
anymore,
there that will like,
that was taken away.
it was just there the other day, so.
The sign was,
just
but
moved it.
the path to go over, the material was removed because it was a safety issue, and we're not gonna replace it.
Okay, cause there is
Yeah.
a map.
Yeah.
And it has it shows
I-
you where to go.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming if people wanted to go do that trail, they're gonna drive back there and
Yeah.
park right there,
Yeah, which is fine.
which would make sense.
Yeah. I think the idea
Yeah.
is just to stay off the grass.
What's that?
I think the idea is just to stay off the grass.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you want to, I could just sit out there and put a like old hat on and say, "Get off my lawn."
So do we wanna spend money on putting more signs up? Do we wanna find alternative methods?
I think for now, it would just, I mean, if you're talking about putting in a basketball court, that alleviates all the issues right there. Cause that's what basketball
But that won't be
court
until
is.
next year at the earliest, yeah.
Right, but I think that putting a stake in the ground with the no parking on the grass sign,
Yeah.
I think.
I would think just the cost of what, 20, 30 stakes, whatever, and the no parking signs, I mean,
Not
it can't be,
even.
I'm just
Right,
10, 12, whatever, I mean, it can't cost, if it costs $100, I'd be shocked, but at the same point, yes,
Do you guys still have the telephone poles that were laying down?
that's what we just asked, I was
Yeah.
curious where they went, you know, there?
Don't know anything about it. So,
Because that would be the easiest way,
Post-
even if they're
yeah.
not end to end.
Yeah.
It's a good enough deterrent,
How much
What's
is that?
that?
it's a good enough deterrent to hopefully stop people.
It's good enough to give people the idea that you can't park.
We did get a bill from DPW that purchased the poles that were used to put the fence up. Do you remember about how much that was?
I can look it up.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a simple.
But I always thought that they
I
were.
don't care what they look
They
like,
were
Yeah.
effective.
as long as you just lay them
no
down.
parking sign, you know, like they put up
Yeah.
for Penfield Farm at
Yeah,
the ferry.
or they would put down it on
side
Scotland
of
Road, on
the
Scotland
road.
Road for
Yes.
the,
From,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah,
I think, I can't
I
think
think
of
that
the
covers
sunflower
it.
seeds, yeah.
Never think about that.
yeah,
Pumpkins,
So
we
do
can
we
use
wanna
those
ask
signs.
Jason to do that? I mean, not
James.
James,
James.
sorry, to do that.
We could ask Jason, I don't think he's going to do it.
Jason, do you want,
keep it up.
What is my
that's what we
hourly
do
fee
want,
for that?
look for
No,
the
we can- we
poles?
No, just put up a couple stakes with a few no parking signs, just along that stretch.
10 signs, I've got enough for 30, so.
Yeah, I don't really need that much,
No.
cause I think they'll get the idea, but who knows, maybe not.
And then just a quick question, is it silly or just a thought to do a fundraiser, you know, something like a movie night on the field one night to raise money for the basketball hoop?
We were,
Well, initially I had a family camp night.
Oh,
planned in
okay.
there.
I
But
think we
what
ran
about
out
a
of money.
movie night?
Well, that was part of it.
Newburyport Youth Services just did that?
Again, I hate these,
Yeah.
New business.
it's new
Well, it goes
business,
with the basketball
but
hoop court.
No, that's a good idea, because I was kind of stuck on a family camp night, but
Uh-huh.
Yep.
that's a refined, maybe way to step into it, just start
Yeah.
with a movie night.
Yep.
But yeah, no, we definitely,
Especially with
a
that
bunch of
field house
ideas
Yeah.
for stuff like that.
Keep
All right.
everyone off the lawn.
So we got the parking situation taken care of, and the lights are not on, or can we discuss the
Well,
lights?
the question was lighting, there were lighting
two lights
units
on
on
there.
the field.
Yeah, and I assume that that's okay from what I've talked to different people, I assume.
I haven't seen them on, so
Someone
I
said,
go by, I haven't seen it
someone
yet.
said something, I don't know where I got in the.
They've used them in previous years,
Yeah,
because at
it's like 8
nighttime, if they're
o'clock.
still in the field, I mean,
At 8
they're
o'clock.
still in the field right now, you probably see them out.
And so, I mean, if that's cool, it's cool,
Alright.
I guess. And I didn't know they worked.
I was gonna say the ones that are down at the end
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
And at the bottom, there are two up by the fields. They took two of the 5 and brought them up. You have 3 that are down there on
They're
Flint
still
Towers.
on there. Okay.
Jason?
So Triton is talking with the lights.
Cool.
We do it there because where Triton is a regional school area, a lot of kids don't get off the bus until 3:45, 4 o'clock. Earliest we could start practice is probably 4:30, and that's pushing it, where a lot of kids show up late.
Mhm.
So if it's 4:30 and we keep losing
Yep.
a couple of minutes every night,
Absolutely.
having those lights is for those teams, especially those volunteer coaches, it's a safety concern.
Now,
Because they try to push them to practice as late as possible,
Yeah.
but with the lights, it keeps everything brighter, it's more of a safety concern.
and no one's complaining, right, neighbors, so.
Alright, yeah.
I mean, the practice isn't gonna extend any
I just-
later than what
The
it
question was,
is
someone was
now.
talking about the lighting, and I was like, is this something different or not? Because
Yeah.
I've seen them before, If
Yeah.
it's not, then we're good.
And I put them outside of any of the playing fields, so nobody runs into them. That's why they're over there. And the practices are not going to extend beyond what 7:30, our latest practice time is now. It's just a diminishing daylight.
Okay. Based on that, thank you very much, Jason, for your feedback on that. Based on anything else I have, George, our motion, oh, but we can't close it, we have to discuss it. When do we wanna do this? Next meeting?
Well, I think we need to schedule two in October.
Okay, so the one we scheduled for the first is being rescheduled?
It's gonna have to be.
Then 10th and the 24th, or?
Funny, it's actually got 2 days and I'm actually got nothing booked. How'd you pull that? I'm literally, it's like, my calendar looks like a Christmas tree with the lights, different colors. 10th and 24th, good enough for everybody?
What day of the week is that?
Wednesday?
Do you
No,
want?
want to switch to the 24th.
Alright, so the 10,
Yeah,
did everybody say okay to that?
yes.
Mark?
I'm checking right now. I mean, I know in the past, we basically set a date, a calendar so that people,
It's usually the first Monday of the month,
right.
but we threw on a meeting now, and there's no point in meeting in 3 days.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we've been having a Mondays, some Tuesdays, some Wednesdays. It'd be nice to get some consistency, so if anybody wanted to attend, people can start planning for it.
Yep.
That we're doing it daily.
I mean, I like the first Monday of the month, it's just I ran into a problem. And it's certainly, if you four wanna do it, I'll put it together, but I gotta put an agenda together in the next 2 days. I have it posted by 5
Well,
o'clock.
Ryan has a conflict on the 24th, that's the only reason why we're jumping.
Okay.
So,
We can't do the 8th.
23rd or the 24th?
Are we on for the 10th?
Yes.
At what time?
I gotta check the calendar, actually, before they file it. Make sure that they have the place.
I have to,
Yeah,
I've been in Texas, I have to Texas. I may take a, I don't know when that's going.
We'll just figure out sometimes that'll work.
Okay.
And what time were these supposed to be at the 10th?
I don't know.
I don't know, he's checking his calendar.
I'm checking the town's calendar.
Because I think this, I can make this, like at 7.
Huh?
I can make it on the 10th by 7.
By 7 or
At-
before
at-
7?
At 7.
I can get the website to give me a date. Yeah.
Are we still looking for more members?
Yes.
I have a possibility, I just have to get him to, send his letter and stuff.
Because right now, we can't have a subcommittee for more than 2 people because there's only 5 on the board right now.
So we're gonna bring up the.
Now I got it right here, just took me a second. It's running slow right now. Something from October, it's in September. Whoa. You can get to the town of Newbury website, get to the calendar.
I will.
Oh, no, just did it. All right, the 10th, we are okay at any time, so do we want to do then Mark's saying 7 o'clock? 8:30?
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
And then, what other day we were looking at? The 23rd doesn't work as they're booked solid, so we probably look at the 25th. Is that feasible,
Yes.
Celine?
So, what we say again, the 23rd?
The 25th.
25th, that's a Thursday night?
Yeah.
All right, Mark, you okay with the 25th?
Yeah,
What time?
6?
Okay.
6?
6 to 7:30.
Okay, so October tenth and October 25th.
I will schedule these when we get home tonight, so we can
Okay.
block off the times. Real quick, so the next meeting we wanna discuss, we wanna go over the,
Scheduling procedure, the fee scheduling
Oop.
procedure.
So we should do the town policy and procedure for the field house.
Yes.
All right, we
Right,
can
that's
knock
it.
that off and we can get that to the legal department. I also gave out the document, which was not part of this conversation today, because of time constraints, but the cost recovery policy and fee proposal, our guidelines, anytime you have
Can you
fees.
resend all those?
All
Cause
in.
my paperwork got
Sure.
screwed up on my end. But I was trying to find that third document and I,
all
Yeah,
right,
I-
so the town policy procedures, fee scheduling procedures, those are the first two bullets under old business. Mark, you're talking about the cost recovery?
Policy, so that sequentially, here's the policy, and we have the field house policy, and then we go into the fee schedule. And again, the document I sent out last week gave, and I agree that, I'm not disagreeing that we agreed on the 3 cost per hour. What I was looking at
What was the different versions of it?
was, here's what other towns do. We've done a lot of this research before, and, you know, we prefaced everything by saying, well, here's, all the towns did it this way, and when we break it down, these towns do it very different ways. And even within the cost per hour, they break it down differently.
All right.
So it gave us, hopefully gave us an idea that there are different models out there, other than just simply $6 an hour and $20 an hour.
Okay, so we're gonna go over that one again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you, if, Mark, if you are able to do that soon, everybody spend the time, I'm gonna reach out on the 3rd, make sure everybody, just kind of a checkup to say, hey, don't get to read this, we need to make sure, bring a note, bring a hard copy and bring a note, something so we can hit this, because if we're spending time in the meeting, we're screwed. So I have town policy, fee scheduling, cost recovery, and the basketball proposal. Those,
signage,
oh, yeah, the signage, I don't need to talk about parking now, and the bubble soccer.
whatever happened to the sign?
All we have to do is ask them to put it up, it's ready to
Let's
go.
go to put it
It's
up.
just like 2 years in the making.
Well, we
Yeah,
got it
it's one thing I
this,
wake
we
up
got
and
it this spring.
It's there.
One-
It's in the field house, it's beautiful.
It's really nice.
On the field house?
We want,
In.
it's secured in there. The idea is when we open up, we put it up just before we open up, so it's all done together.
It's
So
just
we
one of
can-
those aha moments at 3 AM where I'm like, whatever happened to this?
This is, yeah.
I will
Do
ask
we wanna
James to put
discuss
them
the
up.
septic information?
Mike, we have a question from the audience.
If you can pull, let me pull it. All right, I'll put it on there. All right, so I have town policy procedure, fee scheduling, cost recovery, basketball under old business. Under new, I'm gonna have the signage, the bubble soccer, and the software and the septic. Are we good?
Yeah.
Good question.
But Stefan had a question?
Yes.
Yes, I know that last time you guys had a meeting, there was something that needed to be discussed and couldn't be done because I wasn't here, to do with my request for this past summer. I was wondering if that's something that, could be
Did you end up having your tournament, your 2 weeks of skills or whatever it was, I'm not trying to think. It was a,
Clinic.
thank you, I couldn't get the word. Did you end up having your 2 weeks of clinics because it looked like it was there?
Yes.
Originally you said yes, then we heard no, and then we found out there were people there, so I presume, so we're just trying to get an idea. And how much of the fields did you end up using?
end up using the, as far as page what we requested, how things went, I actually put it in writing so that there wouldn't be confusion. So the fact that now you have different versions surprises me a little bit.
Okay. I'm double backing here, that's why I apologize in this. Let me see if I can find it. Just get my email here, so. Stuff here, trying to find out when that email was sent.
That was a while ago, right? That was from the town that sent us everything?
All right, this is an email from Stefano on July 31st. Michael Celine, due to the late advertising following approval by the board, the summer camps, our attendance is non-existing. While I understand the tardiness of the approval is due to the process by which the field usage is going through, I would like to ask a refund for the field usage or credits towards my fall usage. Actually, that was July 31st. There was an original email before that you two had talked, she suggested you send the application to her, she forwarded the policy and board, she says, thank. Okay, thanks, I did send the application for these 2 weeks ago, does she not have it? That was from Stephanie on June 18th.
That was with Lindsay.
Yeah, you said always best to resend, then came in the email on the 31st. That's the last thing I have.
And I was in.
Am I missing something? Or is that it?
Yes, then I was communicating with Lindsay, and
Alright.
she said that, I believe she communicated with you, Celine, am I right about that?
Because I don't
That
have
then
that
to be
email.
discussed over here.
August 7th is an email from you. So just run fields and.
Yeah, we were gonna bring it up at the meeting, and then you weren't at the last meeting, and then, but we also had a question about there were times when we would drive by and nothing was supposed to be scheduled, and it looked like there were,
There was,
because I knew the calendar in my head,
yeah, there was definitely some kind of soccer activity.
organized stuff going on that was during times when the field wasn't supposed to be scheduled, so.
And then when I went by again,
So
and
it's just a
then,
separate issue.
yeah, and then I went by again, and then there was a GPS group playing there for that
Okay.
period of time.
I went out and I talked to the different groups, and I mentioned this at an earlier meeting. The group that people were referring to were using field 5A. There were a number of parents who were there with their kids. Yes, the kids have cleats because they're playing soccer, and they were wearing a jersey. It was not anything that was organized by GPS. The parents said, hey, let's get together on, I think it's Wednesday night at a certain time, and have a parent come in and coach. The individual, I forgot his name, much like I do with lacrosse, if I have a chance to play with the kids and teach them a skill, I'm gonna do it. They're not getting paid, it's our users using the field. It's not an organized, I mean, by definition, team sports are organized.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it was just odd because when I drove by, they were like, it just seemed odd because of the way there wasn't that much parking going on in the parking lot, and then they were at the far end of the field, and it just, I don't know.
I do remember a conversation, and I remember Jason saying something about, he was supposed to be there, and then you were pulled for something else, and you asked a GPS coach to fill in for you,
Those
if I
are,
recall
those are,
correctly.
those are Triton parents. They're friends with a GPS coach, Coach Mo, who coaches my son. And he trains Alex sometimes, so he stepped in. Reason why we're on that far field isn't to hide, because we're by the road. That's what all the U10 nets are, and because they're little kids, those are the nets that they shoot on.
Okay, I just
remember we had this conversation.
yeah,
We
because
were kind of wondering what happened. We just,
yeah,
we're
we
missing
drove by
something.
and there was like, it's the middle of summer and there seemed like it was an organized event going on of some sort. And so it becomes the question that we talked about, if it's organized, there's like a insurance issue and all that kind of stuff that comes about with it. So it seemed, just driving by, and again, that's probably what it was, it just seemed a little bit more organized than not, so.
my understanding, the fields are available for anybody to use. if they show up. People who have a permit that we have issued have priority over those who just show up.
Yeah, but, exactly, and so that's what the whole idea was with the whole fee change and stuff like that, that we wanted, again, you said it, to have fields available for town.
And it was.
Yeah,
And it
okay,
was. So
okay. As long
if
as that,
nobody, and that's the idea of having a schedule, what we do is, here's when people are supposed to be using it, they're not using it. That's something that we haven't addressed.
But does that include organized events?
so I guess what the thing is,
No
we
one's
should
using
look
it.
at to
Organized
find out
events line, is it?
if this happens again, they should probably notify us. And just, you know, it isn't just some kids with, it just seemed, it seemed more organized. It looked like from my point of view driving by, and again, it's just my point of view driving by, it looked like your typical Sunday group that had the lawn chairs out and people were playing and a coach and kids.
Structure.
Yeah, there was some kind of structure going on there. So again, if that's what it is, then it is, but
Yeah.
as far as legally, is that
If
okay?
they're dropping, it's as if you and I were walking, if I was skipping down and I got hurt, it's the same thing. They're not an organized group that we gave permission to use, and that's why we asked the organized group, who we give them a permit. And again, issuing a permit, there are different liabilities involved. That's why we asked for insurance. If we just go up there and I go up there and I'm skipping and I get hurt, that's gonna happen. Team sports by definition are organized. Really hard to play soccer by yourself, or play lacrosse or basketball. I think it's great that people are using the field.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay. So who's using it? Use it. If there's a problem because somebody is using the field and there's a permitted user who is supposed to be in field 5, then I have a problem. But if a group wants to come in there, I know some former high school students who want to go, just do pickup. Whoever shows up, you play.
all right, so exactly, but if it's a bunch of high school kids playing pickup, do they bring smocks, or did they just say, you're in that team and I'm on this team?
My question is, no one's scheduled me on the field, but what if, not even pick on these guys, say 6 lacrosse teams decide to come down and jump on a field, because they say it's open. They're all structured, belong to a league, because they hadn't signed up, but they're having practice or games, that's acceptable?
Are they
Well, it
regular
depends on what's on the
users?
policy, I think. I think
But that's the thing, but the way Mark just said it, was,
Yeah.
if no one's using it, anybody can use it, and I'm just trying to get an idea. Yes,
Well,
Stefano?
if that's,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry if I started this, but this is not what I was talking about. So,
Okay. I'm trying to talk about the 2 weeks you had,
in the morning,
yes.
but I think you're talking about the afternoon. This whole conversation is about the
They
afternoon.
weren't in the, you rented all day, didn't you?
No, it's in the morning.
It was supposed to be 5A, I think, was one of the smaller fields, was all they were taking originally. And then I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, because I have no problems. I think you just moved from 5A to grabbing both, just taking all of field 5, both of them together, and doing that, which, and it was supposed to be for 4 or 5 days, for a couple hours, like 9 to 12, for the 2 weeks, like a month apart.
It was supposed to be half of an 11v11 field. And then I asked you guys, what if I have any issues with kids that they can be close to each other for other specific
That was
reasons?
to use the other half of that field.
Yeah, I didn't get an answer, so I had a challenge with some kids that were getting distracted by the others, so we expanded a little bit.
No argument. That's on us. But correct me if I'm wrong, or put your piece in there. I have no problem with that. So, and the fee was paid to the town?
The fee for me to the town was paid,
Okay.
but we reimbursed every single kid that came because there was not a camp, there was a babysitting service. I did not charge those kids, actually, we did charge them, but given the low numbers, we refunded them all. That is not something that we can charge for.
Okay, was that your decision?
Absolutely.
Okay. That had nothing to do with us in that regards, because you guys worked, you reserved the time.
And pay for the field, and pay for the porta potties, and pay for the staff.
Yep.
And given the tightness of our advertising, there was not even anything to offset those costs.
But did we screw up in any way? Did we cause any issue that you were not allowed to either advertise the time whatever, did we hold you up in any way? To cause you to have lost that money you're referring to?
On the past, when we were able to advertise early, there was never an issue.
Did we say no to you to use those fields?
Did you say no? You didn't say yes. So without having the permission, I
When-
can't advertise for it.
The town is the one that, the town's the one that held part of this up because they had to go before, and they wanted the police and the fire and all that stuff, right?
No, well, no, they didn't have to have that.
Yeah, but we had to get
We
the
had to
idea, so
change, we had to change the way it wasn't done. It had to go before the board as a special event. Which is, I mean, that's another issue.
Oh, that's right.
What did you end up paying? I mean, we could find out, I don't have the number off the top of my head.
600.
600 is what we agreed. But you got the other field too. You guys have any thoughts, opinions on how you'd like to address this? We have literally 2 minutes. We've got to be out of here in 2. Or do you want to bring?
They're not gonna give a credit, so it's gonna have to be applied towards spring.
Doesn't say if we did something like that. But
We can discuss it with town. I think that, I think that was it.
But wasn't it, it was up to us to discuss and let the town know, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At that
they
last-
don't-
The kids
We
let you
don't
play
get
with them.
refunds, but in the past, we've made.
Okay.
we haven't done-
And the reason is,
We have
They won't let you.
Opportunities for people to apply it to their next season.
the reason why I'm considering it, it was because of us.
Right.
Stephanie, we're gonna discuss this with the town and see what we can do to help you out. I'm not guaranteeing, I'm not saying we're gonna give you the whole thing, but we'll probably work on something to help you out.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
A motion, second.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
David, made motion, seconded, okay, time?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.